Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of the Tavern, a channel dedicated to the art history. And today we'll be talking in our very first episode of the petroglyphs. Yes. We'll be starting our kind of journey through the art history with the prehistoric arts, the petroglyphs being chief among them. This is the part 1 and part 2. We can see that the petroglyphs are kind of carved into the stones. It's called a type of incision kind of technique into the stone itself, kind of drawing a lot of animals that were playing music, stuff like this. We can also see kind of tribal people, kind of a shaman in a mid-ceremony, which is a kind of in a sacred place, a sacred tree that is on a kind of a platform, a scaled platform that were used for these kinds of ceremonies. We will see this is an example of a modern type of petroglyph from the 15th century or so. This is a more ancient one, dating back to the second millennia BC. This is another example of a type of gecko or lizard that is carved into the stone itself on the wall. We also have examples of petroglyphs from America and Hawaii. We see this kind of rider, or maybe an archer, being carried on his horse, the back of his horse. You see the tail is very kind of simplistic and abstract. Also, the entire shape. You can see that maybe it's a horse, maybe a different animal. But we see also the geometric kind of shapes that were carved into the stones. That humans were also fascinated by. And we see here, down here, another example of a humanoid figures that are abstract. And we see a kind of maybe a ritual or some kind of a play with those dancers or gymnasts just fooling around, or maybe dancing for rain. I don't know. This is another example, another great example of a wonderful or very hard to do technique, which is based on carving the figure out of the stone, as opposed to actually incising into the stone. This is a kind of a ritual that is being that occurs in all of its glory. Kind of maybe a yoga routine for the masses. We see that they stand on some kind of a platform, and their heads are abstract, or they have some sort of ritual masks on. They are dancing in the streets, but also dancing with snakes on a plane, which is very dangerous. But you can see that all the different figures have the same kind of pose, or posed in the same way, because they are trying to bring about a change in nature, which is essentially the the main kind of goal of shamanism in the first place, which is to bring about change in nature through different kinds of rituals. Maybe trying to heal the sick. Maybe there was some kind of drought they are trying to end by bringing about rain with their dancing, the ceremonies. Now, this is another great example from the same site. It was discovered in 2018, just a few years ago. This is the site from a kind of bird's eye view. And this is a great slab that it was the people kind of incised on them a different technique than the last one we saw. It has all those kinds of geometric shapes, maybe some kind of ladders, or this is some kind of circle, or a city center, but it has a lot of maybe like math teachers, like a classroom board, just trying to map out the entire area. Now we see humankind's modern footprint, and humankind wants to have his name written in infamy, shall we say, ad infinitum, well, trying to erase the past that came before it. I want to thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.